We are live. What's going on, guys? What is going on? Just waiting for Jesse to get here. We're gonna have a chat. We're gonna talk some crypto. We're gonna talk everything, guys. That's what we do. That's what we do. Okay. Just waiting. Wait for some of you guys to get into the chat too. See what everybody's up to. Chart's looking not too bad for Jasmine right now. Not too bad at all. All right. So how is everybody doing out there? Kind of an early afternoon stream. Wonder if anybody's going to be around. Should be interesting. Should be interesting. Just like I said, just waiting for Jesse to get here. Lewis finally caught alive. What's up, guys? How's it going, buddy? How are you doing? Welcome in. Welcome. Just waiting for Jesse to get here. Oh, there he is.
Here I am. What's up?
Just gotta turn my volume up a bit. Yeah, so what's going on, man? Just went out with the little guy, got a haircut, things like that.
Yeah, obviously you can tell I didn't get the haircut.
I was just saying, I gotta say, man.
They look at me and they're like, "You?" I'm like, "Nah."
Don't touch my golden locks.
Yeah, I tell everybody I'm living the dream as a 1980s wrestler. So no, I will not be cutting my hair anytime soon.
Oh man, you should see me make my way to the ring.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nice.
So I was just reading before I signed on here. I saw a post that said something about I don't know if you follow any of Trump's lawsuits, but it said something about, I guess he just lost another one, and the judge said they gave him like a $300 million fine, and something about him not being able to run businesses in New York for like 3 years, right? And whenever I see a post like that, I usually go in there and kind of scroll around the comments. There was one in there that was like, "Boy, Junior, it's going to be a lean year. You're going to have to cut back on the blow after this one."
Yeah, no kidding. I did actually see that, and I was thinking, like, I couldn't help but think more about the incumbents, so to speak, right? And this pattern has become so what is it? Blatant, I suppose would be the word.
Okay.
And, when I say that, what I mean is basically it's definitely by no means a Trump defense. It's just a pattern I've noticed with everybody, whether it's Trump or Tate or whoever it is, right? Is that they tend to attack relentlessly, almost on a petty level, individuals, no matter who they are, right? Public figures that seem to go against the grain, so to speak, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it just gets to the point. I was thinking today when I saw that, and I was just like, Trump is Trump, but the whole can't do business in New York for like 3 years or something. I was like, isn't that a little petty? I don't know. Like, I don't care one way or the other, but I don't know. I've noticed that, and it's like anyone that they don't like, they just kind of peck to death like they're ducks or something, right? Like,
yeah,
we're gonna cut you off with Twitter. We're gonna, all these petty little things.
Yeah, if you really wanted to, what's amazing with him is that I've always thought from day one that he had it better before he got into politics, right?
Yeah.
Because before he was in politics, he was on The Apprentice. They made him look like, the genius of all businessmen, right? He was on cloud nine. I mean, he was popular. Everything was going well. And, I think somehow Roger Stone or somebody convinced him they played on his ego, and they're like, yeah, it needs to be you, right? And he went for it. And I genuinely think when he actually got elected, he was kind of like, oh shoot, like I actually got elected, like, oh God, like now what, like he never even wanted to live in the White House or nothing, and so it's kind of funny. And because he's such a brand ambassador, everything's about the brand, right? The fact that he lost to Biden, I mean, he will never let that go, and he will never admit defeat whatsoever, so he's going to keep on fighting till the end of time. But anyway, like the thing today that's just crazy to me is, they give him this fine of like $300 million. Like, oh yeah, $300 million, whatever. It's like $300 million. I mean, that's like a Powerball jackpot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane.
That's nothing.
Yeah, hey, but you can start again in 3 years. Great. When he's 80. Yeah, we can restart this thing,
It's funny you say that because I remember I'm a huge wrestling fan, right? Huge.
Yeah.
I don't know if I told you that before, but I'm actually a retired wrestler myself, right?
Okay.
And in the 90s, I'm sure you probably remember the wrestling boom, right? WCW, WWE, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
There was a point where I was watching Hulk Hogan, and he was on, I think, Jay Leno at the time. It was in the late 90s. And they had entered him into an election race for president, Hulk Hogan, as just part of the gimmick for the show, right? Just part of the storyline. It was a joke. It was nothing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And,
I know. I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah. Jay Leno had said to him, "You were actually starting to win. Like in the preliminaries, he was in third, coming up into second. He's like, I had to pull out. I was like, are you people serious right now?
Yeah. Well, the Rock was recently on Rogan, and he said the same thing, that people were asking him like, hey, have you ever thought about running? And he thought, well, no, I don't want to do that. And what does it say that they're asking me? But the reality is, honestly, if The Rock ran for president, he would get elected. Enough people are like, love The Rock, right? Whatever side you're on, no one cares. We'd be like, heck yeah, The Rock's the president. Awesome.
You're absolutely right. And it has nothing to do with politics whatsoever. He just go into his campaign and imagine him on a debate.
Yeah. Well, hey, think of this. Likewise, one of my heroes is Bret Hitman Hart, a Canadian. You guys could be electing him, and he could knock Trudeau out of the way, right?
Yeah, let's get Bret Hart as the prime minister.
Yeah, the Hart Foundation. Let's bring him in.
Yeah, for the how they play that song when the president comes in, right? To you play the Rock's entrance music instead.
Yeah, exactly.
You'd have Otherworld Putin sitting there going, "What the hell?"
Hey, honestly, Arnold was the governor, of California, and I mean, if the rules were different, he probably would be the president too. I mean, honestly, like, enough people like that guy that they're like, heck yeah, I'd vote for him. Even like Carl Weathers, who just died, right?
Yep.
Like Carl Weathers, shoot, I would have voted for him for president if he wanted to.
100%. I mean, well, at this point, I mean, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, that's very true.
Things couldn't really get much worse. Knock on wood, I guess, but that kind of makes me think about. Did you watch Tom Emmer putting Elizabeth Warren on blast there? I think it was yesterday, or the day before.
No, but I do follow him on Twitter. No, what'd he say?
Well, he put her on blast indirectly, I should say, because they were doing they were doing their thing in Congress there, and he started bringing up whether the Treasury, when they have accurate information about the T word funding and stuff like that, and money laundering, things of that nature, right? When it comes to cryptocurrencies,
Mm-hmm.
and they have a congresswoman running an election campaign on misinformation that she knows is misinformation because the Treasury has the accurate information. Right. She hasn't come out and made any sort of correction, which we all know is obvious.
Right.
However, so he called her out on it and asked, should the Treasury not come out publicly and correct this misinformation? As a result, do they have a responsibility to do that? Right. And I would argue yes, because you are having someone literally making that one of their primary campaign topics, and they're leading it with misinformation that they know is misinformation, right?
Yeah.
There's no way she's not aware she's lying, right?
Right.
It's not ignorance.
Yeah, I don't know if we've talked about this. I remember way back when she went on Bill Maher on his show, right? And she wasn't a politician yet. And I can't remember what her position was, but at the time she was just kind of like this bookwormy, sort of nerdy librarian intellectual, and she made some decent points, right? And so oddly enough, she parlayed that into this, was she a senator? So this political position. And I think in the time since, it's like, I just don't know how she has any credibility. Like, I feel like she's gone like it's almost like she's gone from a real person to a complete cartoon, in terms of like her positions in like the stuff she's trying to say. If you actually research it, you're like, no, that's not accurate at all. Like, why are you putting this out there? And I agree with you that if she's citing things like that the institution should at least make a statement and say, here's the correct information. We know this has been in the public discord lately, whatever, right? But yeah, I don't know, man. She lost me a long time ago. I don't know how she's still there. She's one of those ones that she just keeps getting reelected, and I'm not really sure how, but she's there. I
don't think she's had a very strong opponent in a long time. That's probably why.
Could be.
One could almost argue that we're at a point where, like, everyone knows politicians lie. I mean, it doesn't even matter what country you're from. They're full of it, right? We know that, we accept that. However, there should be some sort of lines, and I think that we've kind of, over the years, definitely crossed over to a point where the lies have become so blatant that it's almost like election tampering when you're doing that. When you're blatantly, I mean, it's publicly known. But the problem is, a lot of Elizabeth Warren's, I'm sure, supporters and people that vote for her are probably close to her age, so they don't look this information up.
Could be. Yeah.
They just hear her say it and they're like, oh, it's true, right?
It's funny you say that. I have family members that are like this, that I talked to my wife about this, about how there's people like you and me, for example, right? Like, when I hear somebody make a statement and I go, is that accurate? And I go, let me look into this, and I ask a few more questions. I start digging around. I'm like, what? I'm like, that isn't accurate, but there's other people that they hear it and they go, yeah, they just kind of take it and run with it. They're like, can you believe this? Like, yeah, did you see that? I can't believe that. And I'm like, did you do any research at all anywhere with anybody? Did you just look anywhere, for any bits of other information? It's like, no.
He said it.
That's funny.
What do you think about John Deaton running against her, possibly?
I don't know him, but I'm all for somebody else being in that position. I think she's been there long enough. we've probably gotten all the juice has been squeezed from that lemon that's ever going to come out. You know what I mean? Like at this point, we just have a rind that's sitting there in the chair, so we kind of need to move on.
Yeah, well, my only worry, like, I am all for John Deaton running against her. He even just moved to Massachusetts, so I think he's doing it right.
Okay.
So in saying all that, I know a crap load about him because I was very into the whole lawsuit situation.
Okay.
Right. So, do you know that John's a lawyer?
No. Okay, I have no familiarity with him at all. None.
So if it wasn't for John Deaton, a quick rundown. If it wasn't for John Deaton, it's very possible Ripple could have lost the part of the lawsuit that they won. Right. John was he's an independent. He runs his own law firm. And then when the SEC filed the lawsuit against Ripple, he looked at it and he said, well, wait a second, this is not right. Like a coin, like a crypto being sold on the secondary market is not a security, right? So he filed an amicus brief to join the lawsuit, and he put out a form, and he invited people in crypto to join his lawsuit to basically tag in with Ripple against the SEC, right?
Okay.
So he got over 70,000 people signed up as as defendants, right, in this case. And he went to town. The guy was going to other SEC lawsuits against other companies like Library and stuff like that, and joining in, and like the amount of work he put in, even a lot of his amicus briefs and stuff like that were actually cited by Judge Torres in the Ripple case, which helped sway her decision. So essentially, he made a big impact on the case. The judge joined, and that case was vital for the entire crypto space, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
Cryptos being declared not being sold as or labeled securities on the secondary market is crucial for all of us. Doesn't matter what project you like, right?
Right.
So that's his background. And he's been just a thorn in Gary Gensler's side for
good
years.
Yeah. Gary needs a few more thorns in his side. Gary needs he needs like a water balloon, right in the side of the head sometimes.
So funny thing about Gary, I kind of, I have a very open mind with things, and I've always had a certain perspective of Gary. And I saw something the other day, my opinion changes just like everybody else's when it comes to this kind of stuff, right? When you get new information, it evolves. And I'm thinking, well, maybe this man is not as ignorant or is not as malicious and ignorant as he comes off, right? Maybe based on what I heard, somebody had said they worked with him, or a lot of their staff worked with him. I think it was Stuart Alderati or something. They said they worked with him anyway when he was with the CFTC. And it's the way that Gary ran things back then too, is that he likes to press things as fast as he possibly can. He doesn't like to give time for, public opinion and all this kind of thing. It's been his MO the whole time, right? Yeah. And that maybe shifted my perspective slightly. I still think he's a malicious piece of garbage, but I think that maybe his process is his process at the same time. And I mean, let's not forget he was under investigation at the CFTC before that's why he resigned from there, right? So, yeah. But I think his process of doing things, and I think that honestly, I'm starting to think that he thinks he's right.
Okay. So let me tag on to that. So I think you're absolutely right in that statement, right? He is a former professor, right? And I don't think that he's doing any of this maliciously. I really don't. I think it's more so that he just thinks he's right. I'm right, you're not right. And therefore, we're going to file, 800 lawsuits this year. Like, yeah. What? Like, no, but you're not right. And there's no legislation. And you're kind of just like winging it. You're making these broad assumptions in these lawsuits.
It's a clown show, but people think that he's doing this from a position of I'm going to attack crypto because I hate it, right?
Yeah, I don't know. That's debatable. Again, did you ever see? I know I reposted at some point. It was like an image, and it was Sam Bankman-Fried, and his girlfriend is Carolyn Ellison, right? And Carolyn Ellison, her dad was Gary Gensler's boss when Gary was a professor, and Gary was Sam's professor. And it's like this like square between the four of them.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it really makes you wonder, like maybe he really liked Sam because he thought the kid was really smart or something. Like there was something there that he just thought was amazing, right? And now that Sam has kind of, let's say, fallen from grace. I mean, which honestly isn't a very tall order when half the time he was asleep in a beanbag chair. But anyways, now that he's in jail or whatever, maybe part of that weighed on Gary a little bit as well, right? Like maybe some of that influenced him more towards maybe that malicious part that you were saying. Like maybe that does kind of get him to go, maybe I should go after a few of these. And, granted, some of them are not entirely innocent, right? Like, like somebody like a Safe Moon, like this thing is crap. It's been crap. It was always crap. And the people who put it out knew it was crap, right? But they went ahead and marketed it. Like, I don't know if you follow on Twitter, Dave Portnoy of, Barstool Sports. He's really funny. And at one point he had posted this video and he's like, which shit coin am I going to buy? And he had like 4 hats on the table, right? He's kind of going down the list. This one, no, he throws a hat. This one, no. Finally he lands on Safe Moon. He puts a hat on, he's like 45 grand. Here we go. And he basically lost all of it,
Nice. Let's check out some of these comments here. Just so they don't build up. Lewis, I don't know how Trump has the energy to continue in the
face. I don't either.
Blatant. Yeah, well, exactly. It's got to be exhausting at his age. I wouldn't have the energy at my age, right?
Yeah, I agree 100%. Like I was saying in our call the other day, I mean, that's like double our age, and you're running for president. Yeah. I mean, why? I mean, all I'd really want to do at that point is, have my worn out spot in the couch and just leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly. Plug me for a while.
Yeah.
What else do we got? Lewis, they're not after Trump. They're after us, and Trump is just in the way. That's an argument. I've heard that argument before. Yeah. I believe they're after us. Absolutely. I mean,
Taxman's always after you. That's for sure.
Yeah.
We're going to tax the hell out of you any chance we can get.
Well, when you really pay attention to taxes, don't they really they're really, really infuriating, right? Like I saw a video the other day and the guy's like, so you're going to tax my paycheck, right? You're going to take your taxes from my paycheck, and then you give me half and say, this is your half of your paycheck you can keep. And then I go to the store and buy something, and then you make me pay tax on the money you already taxed when I buy something.
Yeah.
And it's you look at it when you really break it down. Like I run a car dealership too. And it's like, man, like the amount of times that they tax one vehicle, you could sell a used vehicle 13 times and that vehicle gets taxed 13 times. You're like, how's this legal? Like, how's this a thing?
Yeah. I think the part that gets me is kind of, even after all those taxes, the government's broke. And it's like, what do you mean you're broke? Like, what? How do we not have any money? It's like, well, the deficit keeps getting worse. And you're like, what? Like, am I the only one who's paying taxes? Am I the only guy doing this? You know, like you look around sometimes, you're like, is anyone else paying their property taxes around here?
Am I the only sucker?
Yeah, seriously. Am I the only guy that does this? You know, like when you're in, especially in corporate America, you know, everything's just taken out automatically, right? I mean, the government of the US runs off of corporate America because there's so many other industries that are cash, right? Cash money, right? Like a lot of the immigrant type populations that come to the US, they only do cash. And there's a reason why. They don't want the government to like track them and track every single move they're doing. But when you already live here and you kind of grow up in it, and then you're in corporate America, your money's just taken out, right? You're like the backbone of this thing, whatever it is.
You're in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
It's the amount of money from here in Canada that they ship overseas is just, it's staggering. You know what I mean? It really is. You're just like, you know, they say, well, we don't have money to give our veterans that are you know, in need, but we have, you know, 100 billion to ship overseas to, you know, feed people that don't live here, right?
Right. I mean, forget our own citizens.
Yeah,
they need money over there. Right?
I mean, here in Winnipeg, there's literally, like, it gets down around this time of year. Normally, it gets down to -35, -40 below zero. Right? There are people sleeping in bus shelters in -40 temperature, and you're just like literally at least a couple every year die through the night sleeping in bus shelters, right? Bus stops. Essentially, those things aren't heated. There's no doors on them or anything. They're just sleeping there to break the wind, and you're just like, but we have money to send overseas. Like,
yeah. You know, I would say, and this is probably an unpopular opinion, but I've worked in downtown environments for a long time. And I would say that only in America can you be homeless and overweight or be homeless and have a dog. You know, I mean, I see stuff like that and you kind of go, that's interesting. All right. So
how are you overweight?
I mean, you know, obviously most of these people are completely insane. I get that part. But then there's some others that you're like, you have a dog? You know, and it's like, what? Like, how does that work? Like, you don't have a house, but you have a dog, you know? And I don't know. I guess maybe you need a companion, right?
It's a sales tactic, right? They do it because when you have a dog sitting with you, people are more sympathetic to animals than they are to humans, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's a great point. I mean, you know, you got a dog sitting there. I go, hey, get that guy some food. And I'm talking about the dog. Like, here you go. Here's some money to get the dog some food. Not necessarily for you, but for the dog, you know?
It's funny how that works, eh? We care about animals. Well, I think it's because we know deep down how corrupt people are and the true actual innocence of animals in this world, right? There's no maliciousness in animals, not like there is in people, right?
Right.
They just exist, you know? There's no politics. There's no hate. There's no, just eat, hunt, hump, right? Sleep.
That's what they do. Yeah.
Oh, man. What else is going on here? Death Bank says, how is Jasmine looking on the fear and greed index? I don't know. I
don't know either.
Pull it up. Jasmine. Have a look. I don't know. I can't find the Jasmine fear and greed chart, but I was looking earlier. If you guys watched one of my Jasmine videos earlier, that the Jasmine is actually still in the weak zone when it comes to being oversold. So it's got a long way to go. We could see a pretty decent leg up because it's just a hair above oversold right now. So very bullish news there.
Maybe gearing up for the AMA, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Buy the rumors, sell the news.
Yeah. Well, I was saying that hopefully you and I can do a breakdown of the my son's knocking on my door. I don't know if you can hear that. Of the AMA. Just give me a sec. I'm going to tell him to go away. Go downstairs, bud. No, downstairs. Go downstairs. I'll be right back, bud.
All righty. So I guess anybody else out there on the chat right now, I can't see anything because I'm not logged in. That's probably the problem. But yeah, hopefully you're kind of enjoying some of the chats I'm having here with Rob lately. We have a pretty good banter rapport going here. I did post a video earlier today about the Bitcoin ETFs in particular. Rob, you missed me talking. I just mentioned I posted a video earlier today about the Bitcoin ETFs. Just kind of how bullish those really are. I mean, it really can't be understated. I was thinking about it this afternoon after I did the video that, that in a little over a month, so let's say
I can still hear you. Keep talking.
Let's say, I don't know, 32, 33 days, something like that. It's somewhere around $14 billion with a B has gone into the Bitcoin ETFs, which let's say super rough math. Let's just say somewhere almost to $500 million a day going into those things. I mean, mull that over. Like, wow, that's legit.
It's crazy. Like the buying pressure is just ridiculous. Like I was saying, I was saying in a video last night, I think it was that the buying pressure has been so crazy. I was like, doesn't it feel like we should have had a pullback by now? Like a correction? Does it not feel like it?
I talked about this in the video I did, that it reminds me of the real estate market, because the real estate market kind of did the same thing, right? Like all the BlackRocks and investment companies, big investors from overseas, are snatched up, at least here in the US, a whole ton of residential homes, right? And the market went way higher. It kind of has like a new baseline. Everybody thought, oh yeah, these prices have to come down, especially where I'm at in Florida. Everyone was like, oh yeah, the prices got to come down. They haven't come down. So who knows, man? Maybe he'll do the same thing to Bitcoin,
Well, I mean, the risk on assets for some reason are definitely going right now. I was watching Believes. I don't know if you know Believes or not, but I was watching one of his videos earlier today, Believes Crypto.
Okay.
And he thinks that he thinks we're headed to 63K.
I could see that.
Yeah. Like if we bust through 50, I think 55, 57 kind of range with the next, and then there's nothing until till we get way up there. So not a lot of sell orders. Of course, they might start to create some resistance.
Yeah, there's a couple levels coming up. Right now, we're kind of right in the middle between, what does this? I have about 45 and 58, and we're at 52. So I mean, it could easily keep running, and that the buy signal on it from just a couple days ago. I mean, that could easily run for a month or longer.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Yeah, it's and I think a big part of it is, again, this buying pressure, because it's not slowing down. Right? It's just not.
It's actually sped up a little bit. Some of the buying over the last week has been like more than the prior 20 plus days.
Yeah. So it's like I that's why when we talk about price predictions and stuff like that, like you nailed it when we spoke the other day, when you said, like, right now it's a moving target, right? Like none of us, I don't think anyone foresaw the buying pressure that we're seeing. Like no one predicted that, right? The way that it is. There's so much buying pressure that, like I said, I honestly feel like we should have had a correction by now, and we just haven't because of all of this buying pressure.
Right. I think we're on our way, like I was saying, to moving towards a new baseline, right? Like we had our previous baseline before BlackRock. now what do we have afterwards, right? I mean, they have taken. There was an article that I think it said they've already pulled 110,000 Bitcoin out of the market. And I was like, wow, that's a lot. And so I looked up and like, how many does MicroStrategy have, right? Michael Saylor, 190,000. So BlackRock within the first month is only 80,000 Bitcoin shy of Michael Saylor.
And Michael Saylor spent 4 years accumulating.
Like, wow. And you know, the bigger thing is just you know, Michael Saylor, if you watch him talk and you really kind of, you know, just listen to what he's saying, right? And he's like, look, like I'm not the smartest guy here. Granted, he did go to MIT, but so did Sam. So I don't know if that's a good thing anymore. But anyway, you know, he went to MIT, right? Really smart guy. And he's talked in the past about how, you know, it's like he invested in like the GAFA type stuff, right? And he said, you know, look, anybody could have done it. That's all I did. I invested in winners and they went higher, right? And he said all along, like, that's exactly what he's doing with Bitcoin. He sees Bitcoin as the best. Nothing else even compares. He's put all his money on Bitcoin. And it's like watching this happen right now is kind of like this, oh my God, he's right. And it's like you can just see him turning into, like, you know, he could be, you know, behind Satoshi. If Satoshi is dead and Satoshi's coins are, let's just say, locked up somewhere, then I mean, like a Michael Saylor, somebody like that. I mean, he could be like the richest man someday, or maybe BlackRock would be. I don't know, richest company, right?
I can see the title of the movie now, The Big Long.
yeah, exactly, right.
What it is, it's basically the equivalent if we had, you know, Twitter and Facebook and everything back then, right, in the early 2000s, when that whole thing happened in the Big Short, the shorting of the housing market. It's the same thing, but we weren't able to watch that in real time. But now we're being able to. I could see a movie being made about this in the next 15, 20 years, right?
Yeah. There's a lot more tools now, you know. I mean, even, you know, like look what you got posted there, right? So Binance, and I think that's their port from TradingView, right? You know, something just as simple as TradingView. You know, I can remember back in time having a TD Ameritrade account and day trading, right? And I was like, heck yeah, here we go, you know, like all amped into it, you know. It's like, you know, back then, like, that was like the best tools you could get, right? And now, I mean, look at all this stuff that we got now. And you got, you know, Twitter with, you know, Michael Saylor posting every single day, you know, one thing or another, and you read it and you go, yeah, okay. And now we're really seeing it. Like, yeah, you know, like, this guy wins. He's winning again, and in the end, he's going to go down as a winner.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, really think about the characters that we have right now, and that we've had over the last 4 or 5 years, let's say, right? You can't tell me that there's not going to be a movie about this. You got Michael Saylor, you've got Gary Gensler, you've got Sam Bankman-Fried, right? CZ. Like, you have so many different characters. Like, this has a movie written all over it. Right?
Yeah, you could make one.
There's so much intrigue, man.
Yeah, you know, I follow Charles Hoskinson on Twitter, so the head guy behind IOHK, the Input Output Hong Kong, aka Cardano, right? And what I like about him, like, this is one of those things that kills me about Jasmy that I really like about Hoskinson, is he posts just random stuff all the time. Now, he does post actual videos, kind of like this, like a, you know, just chat. He's in his office. It's a half hour. He'll post something up. But he posted one earlier today. It's like, hey, here's me getting in the ice bath, you know, and it's like him just getting in there freezing. And you're looking at it going, what the hell is going on there? And you're like, well, I don't really care. But that's the Cardano guy, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It keeps it in your mind, right?
Yeah, you're thinking about it, you know?
Yeah. What else do we have here? Robert says, there's a lot of people in the world who don't care what the truth is. They just want someone to tell them that their misguided beliefs are true. It's easier than changing, compromising. Well, that's the thing, Robert, is that a lot of people are comfortable. They're complacent in their lives, and it's too hard to, stand up and risk doing something about something that's going to disrupt your way of life as an individual, right? So I would agree. You know, it's and
You can't save everybody.
no, just got to take care of your own, right?
Yep.
Maple Life says, "What's up, Jasmine Army?" God did says, "Hey, Jasmine family." Gomer says, "Why SEC approved Bitcoin ETF where Gary doesn't know who made Bitcoin? Bitcoin is still a scam for me." There's a lot of different opinions when it comes to who created Bitcoin and the motives behind it, all that fun stuff. And the fact of the matter is that in our lifetime, we'll probably never know, right?
Probably not. That's crazy if you think about it. That no one's figured this out. But I honestly I've seen the posts saying maybe it's Hal Finney and he died, right? So maybe it was, or maybe not. Maybe Satoshi is still here, and you got to realize, I think when you take it out of context, you could kind of maybe go down that train of thought of is this a scam? Is it something else? Whatever. But if you go back in time, you look at it and you say, okay, what were they trying to do? Well, they were trying to make a peer-to-peer way of exchanging money digitally that was cheaper than using a traditional bank, right? Like that's really all it was. And it wasn't designed to be the best, the greatest, the fastest. It was just like, hey, we realize that this is the genie in the bottle and we're going to let it out. And I think they did it very strategically, right? Like they really did. And, like the stuff with Satoshi, I've looked into Satoshi before, and, there's things like in the Bitcoin white paper, I want to say there was like an article or something that was cited from Britain, and there was something that referenced the British, their time zone, right? But that still doesn't mean it was a Brit, that Satoshi's British. You really don't know, right? And the name Satoshi implies that it's Japanese, but is it Japanese? Who knows? And then there's sometimes people say, well, it could be a group of people versus one person, right? I mean, honestly, to pull something like this off, it took more than one person to do this. So I think it's more than one, but what's truly crazy is the amount of money that Satoshi mined up front that is never moved, right? I mean, this is the biggest fortune in the history of the planet, and no one, at least it appears, is ever going to move it. That's wild. I mean, that's dedication. Now, granted, Satoshi could have created a completely different account and mined plenty of Bitcoin and is already rich and was like, yeah, I already got my money. You're looking over here. It's like the, I don't know if you follow up there, like if you watch the History Channel or not, but there's a show on there, Oak Island, right? Yeah, have you ever heard of Oak Island?
No.
Okay, so it's this island off of Nova Scotia. And basically, the premise of this show is that there's some sort of treasure buried on this island. The people have been looking for it for hundreds of years. It's there, and no one can quite get to it because it's so elusive and so hard to get to. This particular thing, right? It's like it's always just out of reach. And I actually watch this show pretty religiously, which, all my friends make fun of me for it. Whatever. I don't care. I'm going to watch it anyway. I'm going to watch them pull some more wood out of the ground, whatever. Eventually they'll find something. God, where was I going with that? I just lost my train of thought. I got so far into that example, I lost where I was going with that with Satoshi. God, I can't think of it. Anyway, the point is, though, going back to Satoshi, that they really, there was a plan, right? And they pulled it off. And the fact that Satoshi's still anonymous is insane. And now that this thing has gone fully legit is even crazier. So anyway, so going back to it being a scam, yes or no, it was never intended to be what it is today. This global thing that BlackRock's buying, that's not what the intent was.
Mm-hmm.
The intent was to transact without dealing with a traditional bank, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Anyway.
And people get lost in that. They talk about like Satoshi's vision and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, how the hell do you know what his vision was? You know what I mean? I guess from the white paper, they kind of interpret what they want from the white paper, I suppose. But yeah, at the end of the, did you see the story about the guy? It's been a story for the last like 3 or 4 years. He threw his desktop away, his hard drive away. He had he had like 11,000 Bitcoin or something.
Yep.
He was trying to get the city to. He was borrowing money to try to find it in the dump or something. Did you hear that he found it?
Did I hear what?
Did he found it?
No, I don't think he's ever found it.
Yeah, he found it. I think it was about a year or so ago. He ended up finding it. But what had happened was like I said, he took out all these loans, promised all this money, and it turned out that it was actually Bitcoin Cash that he had, not Bitcoins. So he's in like monster debt now.
That's really funny. You know, that's one of the things that has always attracted me towards the cryptocurrency space is this like self-deprecating humor of like we could get there, but instead you're going to get a big pie in the face at some point. You know?
100%. Yeah, it's like an 80s sitcom.
Yeah, exactly.
Pokeroo, missed him again. So Deathbank asks, let's dive into this. He asks, would Sony releasing the PS5 Pro and PS6 be a catalyst for Jasmy? As it sits right now, no, because they haven't announced an integration with Jasmy into the PS5. So it wouldn't be a catalyst at this point.
I agree.
That being said, I don't know. I have this with Sony's making big moves, right? I don't know if you've seen about. I guess they're going to start releasing all the Xbox games on PlayStations because Microsoft's going in a different direction. So they're going to be selling the rights to PlayStation. So all of the Xbox games you're going to be able to play on the PlayStation in the coming years.
Cool.
So that says to me that Sony's making moves, right? They're kind of, if Microsoft is kind of saying we tap, right? And Sony's stepping up and saying, okay, well, we're going to buy the rights to all your games. That says to me that they're making moves, right?
Yeah, you know, that reminds me of Sega and Nintendo that were battling forever. And then Sega said, hey, we're just going to do games from here on out. And now all the old Sega games you can play on Nintendo, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I probably sound like a dinosaur saying that, but
So what I'm thinking, like, what are your thoughts on the fact that I did read an article about Sony saying that they did want to integrate blockchain tech into their PlayStations. Is that not just common sense for the next logical step in technological evolution for the gaming system?
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. I mean, if you think about like, the metaverse, NFTs, transacting money digitally, why couldn't you do that through a gaming system, right? Yeah. And then you take it one step further and you say, okay, So we've got however many millions of users all around the world. We need to secure their data, right? What's the best way to do that? Probably the PDL. Now, even if the PDL is the best idea, they still may not go with that solution, right? There might be other options that are out there outside of the PDL. Like a Star supposedly has their partnership with Sony also. So which way they ultimately go, TBD. But I agree with you. I mean, I think it makes too much sense not to go that way.
And to kind of add to that, to sort of connect the conspiracy theory dots, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
In your opinion, would the connections with Sato and Ando have any sort of influence on maybe a leg up or a better chance, odds, whatever you want to call it, for Jasmy's blockchain to be heavily considered for the PlayStation?
Maybe.
PDL.
So I would say I think Jasmy rides Ando's coattails a lot, right? And I think if there's people still at Sony that either worked with him or remember him, then yeah, he could have a leg up. On the flip side, if you look at Watanabe, Sato over there at a Star, he's kind of your up and coming blockchain whiz kid, younger generation dude, right? Marketer. So I could see it going either way. I think the thing with Jasmy is they want to be more of a, or at least the way they're talking now, it sounds like they want to be more about licensing. And so, that tells me like somebody like a Star, they don't necessarily want to be the face out in front of this thing, right? They want to license the tech to someone else. So why couldn't it be Sony?
Yeah.
I mean, I just kind of feel like they need more use cases in Japan. They need to prove more so that they can make it in Japan before globally. Like that's one of the things I almost feel like they have a little backwards right now, is like this push to go global. But I feel like you haven't made it in Japan. Like you got to make it in Japan and then go global, right?
Yeah.
Because then you have a body of work that you can say, see, we already did it here. It works,
So you're saying there's a chance. Well, I was covering yesterday that apparently Ando heads up a I can't remember what they call it. Basically, a consortium of the top 100 tech companies in Japan or something like that. He's the president.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
I mean, they're making some kind of attempt, I suppose, in that aspect, right?
He is connected through so many different boards. He is he's the linchpin of the setup, right? I mean, he really is. Like his connections cannot be understated. They're everywhere. So could they have an inroad? Yes, but they need a fully working product, right? And I think that's like the part that everybody's kind of gets a little hung up, is it's kind of like, what is your product and what fully works and what doesn't and what needs to work to make it all work, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like we got like a few car parts, but we don't have an engine, It's like we kind of need this whole thing to come together,
Yeah, I suppose we're putting the cart before the horse if we're not even having a product out to market yet, and then we're speculating on which companies are going to use said product, right?
Yeah, we are. I mean, we do have a product in the sense of Secure PC and in the sense of the app, which, by the way, the Saganto Sioux, right, the football team, that I say that soccer for anyone in the U.S., football team for anyone else all around the world, everybody.
Not about you.
It's not about you. Sorry. Anyway, I saw Lil Bidman posted that they can now do chats with players from the team, right? Awesome. That is awesome. That is so cool, right?
Ah,
So I've thought all along that the whole Saganto Sue fan token, the app, I thought that was genius because basically all the super fans can now talk to the team, right? I can actually like leave a message for my favorite player, you know, and I don't know if you watch. I've been watching Ted Lasso on Apple Plus, right? And he's like this bumpkin from Kansas City that goes to the UK to coach a soccer team out there, right? And so anyway, during the episodes, the fans are always shouting at him something or other, right? All these super fans, and it would be pretty awesome if they could just talk to him through an app and get that inside scoop, that inside communication. If you want to pay extra, you get a little extra. It's kind of like going to see a concert and you pay extra to be in the VIP club where you get to meet the band and get some autographs and hang out for 20 minutes and then you leave. It's kind of like the same idea about sports.
What I can say, I don't know how it is in the States, but as a very, very avid hockey fan, and I read a lot of forums and stuff like that, fan forums, things like that.
Yeah.
And it turned into a real shit show for players. Right? Some of the things that fans will say, what the hell's the matter with you? What were you thinking of?
Yeah. Yeah. There are some super fans out there and they will let you have it. Like if you played crappy that day, they will let you know.
I'm not bullish on that as a player.
Hey, here's a side story. So this is kind of funny. I had a boss at one point in time that he had season tickets to the Red Wings when they were their dynasty. Okay. And he was telling me how they'd be there at the game. And at some point in the game, one of those fans comes out and they have the live octopus and they take that sucker out and they lift it up and they start swinging it around in a circle and then they launch it out onto the ice, right? And anyway, my point with this is, I've talked to my wife before. I'm like, how the hell did they smuggle that thing into the arena, right? Like, did you seriously like put this octopus in a garbage bag and stuff it in your pant leg, or how the hell? How did you pull that off, right? And I was telling her, I can remember being younger and going to like a big concert venue, right? Like a big outdoor concert, like a festival, right? And you go through like metal detectors and there's always people searching you, like even today, they're looking in your purse. If you have a pocket knife, they're taking it and throwing it away, and then you'd walk inside and there's somebody with like a 3-foot parrot. like where did that guy go? How did he get in here with this monster bird? Like, there's no way. If I walked through security with that big old bird, they wouldn't have let me in. Likewise, if I was going to see the Red Wings and they're like, "Sir, what's in the trash bag?" And I was like, "It's a giant live squid." They'd be like, "What?" I was like, "You're gonna have to dump that in the trash." I was like, "No," and I just run in and take it out and fling it onto the ice.
Well, if you say, maybe they say it's my dinner.
Anyway, super fans are pretty funny.
Yeah. What else do we got in the chat here? Gomer, I saw that Oak Island episode. Oh, nice.
That's every episode. They find wood every episode. They never find. No, I take that back. The metal detector guy finds all the cool stuff.
He asks, do you guys have updates on crypto regulations? There is no updates that I am aware of in terms of regulations in the United States anyways. It's a slow moving process, Gomer, but what I would say is I always cover that stuff. I don't know, Jesse, if you do those kinds of videos.
Mm-hmm.
You do? So guys, just so that you know, Jesse's link to his channel, KIR Finance, is also in the description. So go give him a subscription, guys, because we both cover that kind of stuff. Stay up to date on it. And you said you just uploaded a video today too, right?
Yeah, that one was on the Bitcoin ETFs. But I have not heard anything new in terms of legislation, either in the U.S. Or really anywhere else. Japan. I would focus, if you're looking for legislation, look at Japan. Look at the Crypto Valley. I don't know how they pronounce it. It's like Zug or Zug, Switzerland, like that area, like where that Liechtenstein exchange is. That's where you may see crypto regulations that come about first before they're adopted somewhere else. But I haven't heard of anything like pending, anything big.
Well, I think that India is doing something too, because I know that they've banned most of the centralized exchanges right now, right? They haven't banned them. They've set out a list of regulations that they want, or rules, so to speak, that they want these centralized exchanges to abide by. And until they're up to standard, they cannot. They've blocked their addresses, or whatever what do you call them? IP. Right?
Okay.
They can't operate in India right now. I know, because I have one of my members lives there and is having a little bit of a hard time. So I'm trying to teach them how to operate through the DEXs and stuff like that, as opposed to, because it's centralized exchanges they're going after right now, right? So I don't know if it's some sort of bigger plan for regulation out there in India. That's why they're suddenly doing this. Because I mean, they've not always, but they've seemed over the last couple of years more friendly towards crypto over there for the most part. And then to all of a sudden do this, I think it's just a control thing, right?
Yeah, they as I recall, they tax very heavily over there in India. I've told you about Pokedex before. All those guys are based in India. And so there's a will there. I think it's similar to Japan in the sense that it's almost like a country where the government is kind of stifling it, right? I think there was an exchange that's like Wazir X, I think it was one in India, and maybe Gate was in India. And like I said, Pokedex, I don't know if you could get to it in India, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. That's a bit of a tricky one, I mean, the thing about governments is, like we talked about earlier with taxes, right? I mean, they got to get their piece, right? And so I think certain governments, crypto makes them nervous because they see it as like a way around that tax. But I mean, the reality in crypto right now is you can't just have crypto. Well, I guess you can in certain places. You can spend crypto. So I take that back. You can spend it, but for the most part, you need a on-ramp, off-ramp. Right.
Well, what do you know about this crypto.com card? Because I remember watching Ben Armstrong back when he was BIP. It must have been about a year and a half ago now. I was catching one of his episodes, and he was talking about, I guess because of his past or something, he has issues and he can't open bank accounts. So he had one bank account at one bank, from what I recall, and they shut him down at that bank. So he had made a big, and that's why I remember it, because he doesn't do anything small, right? It's a big fucking announcement that he's not going to use banks anymore, right? Get the elephants out here, guys. We're going to make it up. So he said he is only from this point on going to use his crypto.com card for everything, everywhere. I don't know. I have a crypto.com account. I've never even funded it. I've never used it. I don't know. Do you have the card? Do you use their platform? No, eh?
No, I used them at one point in time, and my bank kept freezing my transfers to them because their intermediary was in Gibraltar, and it would flag it as fraud every time I tried to do it. And so I got just sick of trying to do it. Yeah, with BitBoy, he's well, first of all, he's the artist formerly known as BitBoy because he was fired. So now he's just Ben. And somebody actually posted at one point his 4 felony mugshots are out there, and it all kind of stems around like drug related kind of buffoonery type things. So I could see where he could have that problem. And I know there was a 60-minute story here in the US at one point on a guy in Australia that found Bitcoin early. He stuffed it all into crypto.com and he used his crypto.com card everywhere. That's just what he paid with, right? So it is possible to do that. I personally, like I said, I just don't do it because of where they've been based was kind of, I mean, they're not the only ones, right? Like most crypto exchanges are kind of like offshore somewhere in some sort of tax haven and some sort of area that's supposed to insulate them. But because of that, I never really fully pursued it just because of the traditional. It's like we didn't have a smooth traditional connection to crypto.com, you know? But you can use them like here in the US. I don't know if they're there in Canada or not, but you can use them here if you want to get stuff.
This is part like this is kind of starting it. It gets into a subject that kind of gets a little bit gray and murky, and even I kind of debate this with the wife all the time, right? Because she's of the opinion that she wants to. For example, there's an exchange here in Canada called ShakePay, right?
Okay.
And generally, I use it as an on and off ramp because all they hold is Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then Canadian currency, right? So they don't even have stable coin on there. It's just Canadian currency straight to either Ethereum or Bitcoin, then back to Canadian currency, whatever.
Yeah.
I use it as an on and off on ramp anyway because it's just so easy. It's just an e-transfer, and there's your money within seconds, right? And then you can buy your crypto, no problem. That being said, a really cool side note though on this exchange is that it's also an app on your phone, and the reason it's called ShakePay is because you actually, I have my phone here, right? So if you just shake your phone like that every 24 hours, they actually sprinkle some free Satoshis into your account every day.
That's cool.
If you get like a streak going, like every day you get a little more. They want you to do it every day, right? So you get a little more every single day. The longer your streak goes, you get more and more and more. I think they cap it at like 1,000 Satoshis or something like that, right?
Okay.
And I had a streak going one time of like almost 1,000 days. Like it was crazy. Every day for like 1,000 days, I was shaking. but that being said, they also have a card, right? But it's a card on your phone though. It's not a physical card, right? So you would tap it the same way with your phone. So the wife is going forward of the opinion that she wants to kind of eliminate putting the bulk of our money into accounts and more into opportunities such as the ShakePay card, the crypto.com card kind of thing, right?
Okay.
And I struggle with that because obviously she doesn't do the amount of research that I do. And I struggle with, well, if you really do that, then you're really relying on the solvency of the whatever exchange that you're doing that with. Right. And that can be a real problem.
Right. Yeah. I agree. So going back in time, Voyager, I really liked Voyager for a while. I thought it was super easy to use. They seem to be making headway and doing great. They were sponsoring a NASCAR. Their logo was all over like NCAA basketball, college basketball games, all over the place, right? Here, in the U.S., that's kind of back when Tom Brady was still playing and, his big tight end Gronk, right? Gronk was endorsing Voyager. Yada yada yada, and so they had some stuff like that. And I remember at the time looking at it and thinking, wow, like if I could just put my money in here, convert it to USDC, use their card. Why do I need a bank account? I don't. And
Exactly.
quite frankly, I'd like to move beyond the bank, right? I think there's a lot of people like that all the hangups that you have with your traditional bank, that a lot of people would like to move on. But what ultimately happened with Voyager was they had a huge hole in their balance sheet. Basically, they loaned out way too much, like a stupid amount of money. They loaned out to another company who went insolvent. And then basically by default, they go insolvent. Just like that. Overnight, it happened. At the time, they marketed to everybody that they were, here in the US, FDIC insured. But they're not insured. The money that you put in there was not insured like the way that they were marketing it was. This was like misleading marketing, right? So what is FDIC insured is market or money that is in a traditional bank here in the US. So they made it sound like, well, if you put your money with us, it's going into our bank and it's insured. Well, not exactly, right? Because they were taking all that money, and really it was kind of like their quest for market share. And then they were with that, I think it was the Three Arrows Capital. And Three Arrows Capital, I want to say, went down in flames because of Luna, right? So it was like the collateral damage of Luna basically went full circle and then hit Voyager. And so in premise, it sounds like a good thing. And if the company was ran correctly, maybe it could be like, a Coinbase, for example, right? Could you do that same kind of idea with Coinbase? They have a card, so you could put all your money in there if you really wanted to. You could do the same idea with Coinbase, but even Coinbase has come out later and said, if we go insolvent, here's the disclaimer.
You're screwed.
Yes. So it's a bit of a slippery road there. Now, Crypto.com's been around a long time, and they've weathered a lot, but that there's no guarantee they're going to weather the future, right? So it's
that kind of segues into the other issue of off-ramping.
Yeah.
So have you run into any problems off-ramping? And if so, like, do you have a strategy? Do you off-ramp a little at a time as a lump sum? Do you go in and have a meeting with the bank ahead of time to discuss this? Like, what's your strategy for that?
Yeah, I think if you're off-ramping, you need to do it in small amounts, and you need to do it not when everyone else is doing it, right? That's like the big problem. Crypto still has that problem that the market is very reactive, and everybody tries to flood at once. Either everyone's buying or everyone's selling all at once, and that kind of crashes everything regardless, right? Because if you think about it like a pipe, well, the pipe is only so big. There's only so much that can go through this pipe, forward or backward, right? So if you're going to be off-ramping, I mean, I think you just do it strategically, small amounts, over time. You extend it over a time period. You don't do it all at once. Now, granted, that's all in context, depending on however much holdings you have or your position or whatever. It's all a little bit relative, I mean, if you're trading in like, $50 million and you want to just flip it in and out, whatever, good luck. I don't think that's going to happen,
Well, I was in my bank about a week ago or so, and the manager there knows me because I'm there all the time, right? I run a business and blah, blah, blah. So she always comes up and says hi. And while I was doing my transactions, I said, hey, let me ask you something. I said, if I want to off-ramp money back into my checking account here, right, from a crypto exchange, are we gonna have a problem here, right? So she sat me down with one of the guys who handles that kind of thing, And so he's asking me, even he was very, very inexperienced with the whole thing, right?
Yep.
And he said, like, what are we talking? So I said, let's say hypothetically, let's say high six figures, right? Let's say that. He's like, yeah, we'll freeze your money. Like straight up, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so like, do I send like, you know, $6,000 a day or something like that, or every couple days? Like, do I have to do this like a drip effect, or you know what I'm saying? Like, to what degree are we not going to have a problem? I understand if I move 800 grand into my account overnight, you're going to say, hey, what the hell, man? But
Yeah.
if I'm doing a little at a time, are we cool? I'm more concerned about the address it's coming from. Is that where you're going to have an issue, right?
So banks are skittish of large amounts of money showing up with nothing attached to them.
Mhm.
Right? That's kind of like a red flag for a bank. I think if you're in a traditional, typical regional bank, something like that, then yeah, you probably have to do something like the drip effect. Would probably be the way to do it, honestly, because they're going to have a cap per day, and if you're exceeding that, you're going to be on the radar, and then your money you're trying to pull is going to get delayed. Blah 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 blah. Whereas if you let's say graduated to the level of multimillionaire, maybe you deal with a bank that is more experienced in this arena than just your bank down the street, right?
Like, are you thinking more of like an international type bank, something much larger?
Yeah, I mean, there have been banks out there that specialized in crypto. Now, granted, I think a few of them went down in flames in that in the bank runs that happened, somewhere mid to end of last year. Took down a couple of them. Yeah. So I don't know how. Again, it kind of comes down to exposure and risk, and the bank doesn't like a high level of risk or exposure, or at least they shouldn't. Now, some banks get sloppy, and that's what ends up taking them down. I mean, honestly, if you did a bank run, like if we started the Twitter channel, bank run Twitter channel, and we said, hey, it's Monday, today's the day we're going after this company, we could probably take down every bank in the entire world if you had enough people behind you. Now, granted, I'm sure the authorities probably wouldn't appreciate that.
Yeah. An understatement.
Yeah.
My strategy right now, as it sits, is I've opened up about 6 different bank accounts at 6 different banks. And to do an incremental kind of situation is my best strategy that I can think of, because I was reading a story about a year and a half ago about a guy out in Halifax who had off-ramped in the last bull run a few $100,000 into his bank account. The bank froze his account, including all of his savings, his money from his job, like literally every dollar he had. And he, for like, I think he's still fighting for his money. Right. So that's what they like to do. They like to tie up your money, but I'm sure they have access to your money. I'm sure they're loaning your money out the whole time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And get interest on your money.
Yeah.
So that's the best strategy that I can kind of come up with at this point. Even me sitting down with a manager over at the bank and preemptively, advising them, like, look, I'm going to be sending this money here, just so you know. I have full intention of paying my taxes, so you can go ahead and alert Revenue Canada or whoever you need to alert. It's not a factor, right? I'm not trying to avoid any taxes or anything. And they still said, yeah, it's going to be a problem, right?
Yeah. I think it's all about how you're looking at this. So you have two options. You either off ramp it or you don't, right? And maybe the holy grail is not off ramping it, right? And that's kind of going more towards the card option, that you simply have your crypto accounts and you have a card tied to it, and if you need to spend something, well, you spend like that, right? I mean, unless you're trying to get anywhere that you're pulling out a large amount of money, they're going to want to see a paper trail and they're going to want to tax the hell out of it. Right?
Yeah. There's an interesting question from Stargazer here. I got a few questions to go over, but Stargazer says, what about credit unions instead of banks?
I don't know if there's really a big difference. I mean, honestly, right now I bank with a credit union, and my credit union drives me crazy sometimes because I feel like they're so small potatoes that it's kind of like it bugs me. But at the same time, if I was banking with like a Wells Fargo or a Bank of America or whatever, it could be even worse, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like maybe there's some advantages to a smaller institution. I don't know if it really matters though between credit union and bank too much though. But I could be wrong. You know, I'm sure they're all a little bit different.
So let me ask you this. Have you off-ramped money back from an exchange to your bank account, and was there any issue at all risen for you?
I know I have, yes. I try not to.
Yeah.
I am very mindful of the tax implications, and I have always done my own taxes. So every time uh, you know, buy, sell, you know, that's a taxable uh, instant, right? And so I personally try to avoid that if at all possible.
Yeah.
So for me, I kind of view it like this. Have I taken a large amount of money out back to the bank? No, I have not. I view it more so like I want this fund to get as big as it possibly can. And I kind of view it like I was saying, sort of that holy grail approach of I would rather not create a taxable I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on the word, but like a taxable event. There you go. I'd rather not create a taxable event if I can avoid it
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of keep it in that account. Right now, obviously, if you were going to like take all the money and pay off a house or something, that's different. You're going to have your taxable event. And I mean, kind of going back to what we said earlier, I think the drip approach makes more sense than something bigger, because otherwise you're going to be on their radar immediately. They're not going to want to work with you at all. Just like you said, and the guy in Halifax, you know, that's a stereotypical example. Yeah, it's tricky, you know. For as great as crypto is, it's like that dangling carrot, right? It's that diamond that's shining for all of us. But every step of the way, there's somebody who's trying to take a slice off of that, a piece for themselves. So
Yeah.
that's where you got to try to avoid, while also not getting ripped off yourself and having everything you have stolen from some other just because you left it on there, right?
Well, those are the other risks, right? You've got insolvency risks, you have hacker risks, right? There's just so much. Such a difficult space to navigate. I can only imagine in about 30 years how much easier this space is going to be to navigate and stuff like that, and how we're going to look back and go, holy crap, you should have seen the stuff we were dealing with, right? Like,
yeah. I really wish there were some sort of regulations and some sort of rules. I mean, obviously there is some stuff out there now. I mean, you can't just like hack an exchange and think it's all good, right? I mean, you're violating multiple laws. Like here in the US, I mean, the FBI will go after you. They have a cyber team that will prosecute you and steal all that money right back.
yeah.
Right?
We got some more comments here. We got KK says Max got his channel fixed. Nice. Max has been having lag issues on his live streams over the last week or so. And sometimes I drop into his live stream and into the chat, and I'll just kind of talk some smack, and the like kind of thing. And yeah, he's been having problems and he's been frustrated. So The other night, actually, I think it was yesterday or the day before, I was doing a live stream, and a lot of our followers cross over, a lot of subscribers, and so they're bugging me to message him at like 9 o'clock at night. Message him and make him pop into the live stream right now. I'll try. So that's why he's saying that his channel's fixed. I spoke with him, I think this morning, and he said he's looking forward to Sunday. So,
all right, cool.
Gomer says Chili's is up. I googled it. It says April 24th for the final rules, finalizing the rule. I don't know what rule you're talking about, Gomer. Maybe we just got so off track that we off the rails that we don't know. I don't know what finalizing what rule you're talking about. Are you talking about regulations? Stargazer says, is there any other entity that we need to report our crypto to? I know the IRS is one, but is there any other entity?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it would only be the IRS if you were transacting. Maybe what you're getting at there is money going from like a tax haven into the U.S. and is that looked at closely? Potentially. I don't know who that entity would be, though, other than, like, let's say the FBI. But they're not going to look at you unless you're doing something really shady.
Yeah, unless they have a reason to be looking at you.
Yeah.
Deathbank says tax season should pump the market and increase volatility before the halving. I don't know. I think the opposite in that. I think you're going to see tax harvesting, actually, right? A lot of people will sell at a loss to harvest, to make sure that they're not paying too much in taxes on their gains, right? So that's usually we end up seeing a little bit of a dip because of tax season.
Yeah, that could be.
What I'm asking is, do we only need to report our taxes to the IRS? Yeah, we covered that. Zach says, everyone be sure to like the video and support the channel and subscribe to KIR Finance. Show some love, guys. Exactly. Don't be a scam. Don't be a scam. Show some love.
Yeah. That's funny.
Beebs, good afternoon. Crypto Future Millionaires. Oh, Max just finished a live, apparently.
Oh, cool.
Alp says, hey, I'm excited about the AMA with Hara. Do you ask him about the lockup? Jasmy Chain and Roadmap, guys. Keep up the good work. Greetings from Germany. Excuse me for bad English. Neither Jesse nor I is participating, unless that's changed on your end, in the AMA.
I am not. I'm still technically part of the ambassador group, though the group chat I recently left. I left. Let me back up. I left all group chats that I was in on Twitter because I was in a lot of them, and I've got an Apple Watch that dings constantly, right? Constantly, all day long, ding, 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 ding. And it was driving me insane. So I was like, all right, I'm done. So I left all my group chats, including the ambassador chat. I'm like, I'm out. And they were like, what happened? Well, you really stormed out of there. I'm like, look, like, I'll be here if and when you need me to be. Honestly, there's enough really smart people in that group that they're going to ask those questions. They're going to ask all the questions we want asked. Now, whether we get the answers we're looking for, up for debate, right? Usually, whatever answers we get, you go, huh? Well, did he mean this or did he actually mean that? And we're always trying to sort of figure it out. I don't know. We'll see. But I would say, as I've said a couple of times, Dip Metaverse is very, very detailed. And I know his questions are very detailed. And I'm sure the other ambassadors will have pointed questions as well. So hopefully Hara has time with them ahead of time. I know he likes to formulate his responses ahead of time. So hopefully that's how that whole thing goes down.
Well, I'm going to listen to it and take notes. Are you able to commit to doing a stream where we can kind of cover it afterwards? Like, not doesn't have to be right after it, but you know, the following day or whatever kind of thing. We can.
Yeah, I can figure out some time here or there.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I mean, I'll just need a little bit of time to look at it and kind of get my head around whatever's all in there and see what they said and see what I really think they're getting at. The irony with a lot of those things like that is that things that I've sort of insinuated or that I've perceived are the way they are, actually are the way they are, right? And likewise, the things that have drove me crazy that I've openly made videos about, I can see it when people have watched my videos and they're talking in the same way. I kind of appreciate it. I get a little chuckle out of that. I'm like, oh yeah, you're mad at the marketing too. I'm like, awesome. Okay. And like recently, I would say I was purposefully kind of turning up the heat a little bit on them, right? Like, hey, get it together.
Somebody had
I mean, come on, it's like, give me something. I mean, I can only go so many days where I see a star posting, 3-4 times a day, and it's just going up, 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 and it's like crickets over here,
Yeah, 100%. Stargazer says, so basically, make sure you have accounts at multiple banks and credit unions to flow. Yeah, that's the best strategy I'm using. Like I said, I'm just going to have 6 accounts, 6 different banks, and just drop small amounts in kind of maybe every 2 or 3 days into each account and just kind of siphon my money back into my accounts that way. I know there's a lot of people debating like, well, should you be it doesn't make sense to transfer money from crypto back to fiat again. It doesn't make sense. Listen, I still have to live my life, right?
That's true. Hey, you know what? Funny story. You'll get a kick out of this. So, I was born in Fargo, North Dakota, right? So up north, not as far north as you, but up north. And I remember being a little kid and getting a coin set of Canadian money, right? And like here in the US, it was like, oh, what is this? It's like money from somewhere else. This is really cool, right? And I remember looking at
Magical.
it. Well, the funny thing is back then, it was kind of like, oh yeah, like that's fun money. It isn't worth shit, whatever. It was kind of like, it's just Canadian money. Who cares? And then fast forward to like being an adult, and that money's like worth more than our money. I always thought that was funny.
Who's laughing now? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Hopefully, I still have that. I didn't throw it away.
KK says, hit the subscribe button on both channels. No freeloaders. Gomer says, you guys are awesome. Go Jasmine.
Go Jasmine.
Mansa says, will we see Hara on video? Are you talking about on the AMA, like his face? I think it's just a voice, isn't it? It's
I don't think so. So it's on Telegram, and as far as I know, Telegram is just sort of like a online group chat, kind of similar to Discord. It probably has that option, but honestly, so going back in time, when Hara first started doing the AMAs, they were always like written, right? Then we pushed him for live. Hey, we want it live, right? Live. And he agreed to do Discord. Okay, fine. So we did the Discord ones with him. It starts to fall apart a little bit because remember, he is a Japanese speaker first, and the language it's like reading a sentence backwards. And so for him to formulate in real time a response that actually answers what you actually asked is kind of a tall order. So it started to fall apart a little bit. Then we tried to do actual like verbal voice to voice. Hey, get on the phone, right? Because at the time people were like, "Oh, Hara isn't real. He's not a real person." It's like, yeah, actually he is. He's a real person. what am I? I'm 41. He's like 36. He lives in Japan. He's got a wife and kid, whatever. He's a real guy. Okay. But at the end of the day, the more we pushed for him to be live and present with an English audience, it's just not it's not a good fit. It just isn't. And no fault to him, because he is trying to learn English, and he does speak pretty decent English. Okay. But there is still a bit of a language barrier, which, again, is one of these things I've been pushing forever. Like, let's get somebody that's fluent in both.
Yeah.
And maybe that's KJ that's on Twitter now. I know he works for Hara. So
Yeah. Mansa says, I want to see Hara's shiny face on video. It's a unique way to put it, but I'll give you that. You guys are funny. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. It's it'll be interesting. Like I said, I think right now Jasmy's very oversold, or just a hair above oversold. So I think that we're going to see about 2074. I think as our next pit stop, and then maybe we'll see some more accumulation. A big issue that I pressed this morning, I kind of sent out like a video that was more like a public service announcement. Spread this around the Jasmy community kind of thing. Mm-hmm. You don't have to share my video. You can just, make a post. You don't have to give me credit for it as the subscribers and stuff, because I feel that the message is important to lower your expectations on the amount of coins Jasmy Co. is going to be locking up, right? And we talked about this before, and it's running absolutely rampant. A lot of content creators are just like, you see it in your YouTube stream. It's just, 30 billion are being locked up. You're just, and you feel like you're watching an accident before it happens, right? You're like, oh, this is gonna be bad.
Yeah, when 3 days later, no one can get their head around why there isn't more locked up. I mean, even if you look at going back to the Bitcoin ETFs, the $14 billion didn't happen the day after. It's happened in the 35 days, whatever it is, since the announcement, right? Well, anything locking up in Jasmy is going to be the same way.
Yeah, incrementally. And it's you know what's going to happen, and it's frustrating for me because I know that my voice is not going to reach enough people, and there's going to be so much toxicity online as a result of this. And I just feel like it's unfair to Hara. It's unfair to the company that you're having content creators who are looking for clicks, who are saying these things, and then, that are putting out these expectations, and now suddenly, somehow, these expectations get put on the shoulders of the company that never said anything in relation, right?
Yeah. I think the thing with Jasmy is everybody goes back to the white paper. Everybody goes back to that lockup chart, and they kind of put the two and two together, and they go, well, you do the math here, and you're saying this coin's worth 1787 and 2026, blah blah blah. That's a tall order, right? I mean, I think that's the down year of the cycle also. So historically, it's probably impossible. Okay. And Jasmy would have to be worth just a colossal amount of money in the market cap, right, to get that far. But could it do some of this other stuff in Japan and in Asia? Could it take off? Could it break into the top 100, the top 50? I mean, if it hit top 20, I think I'd probably faint. I mean, I don't, if it even went that far, it's kind of like, wow, like if they could actually pull that off, that'd be pretty awesome. And that's not easy to do. It's really not.
Well, it's you say that because you see so many other content creators out there, and I see them all the time. They talk about whatever your project is, KASPA, Shiba Inu, whatever it is, all the time is it's perfectly reasonable and realistic that, like, look, I could see KASPA being in the top 2, sometime before the end of this year. Like, what the fuck are you saying right now?
Yeah, when I first started my channel, there was a kid, I can't remember his name, but he's like, maybe he's Irish, and every single video he posted was like, a thumbnail of him like, huh? And it's like 2000 and X, 10,000%. And he's like, I don't know, and within like a couple of weeks, he had like 100,000 followers.
Yeah.
And I'm over here going, I just can't do it. I can't. I know I mean, I could lie to everybody. I could make the most bogus bullshit channel there is. Hype the hell out of everything to the stratosphere on pure garbage, and get 1 million followers and get rich and be the next BitBoy. But I just can't. That's just a leap too far.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to, like, a lot of people, like, I think I spoke to you about it actually, and I said, like, man, the comments sometimes, right? Yeah. And you're like, hey man, like, don't take them personally, all that stuff. And I've had other people too say, well, I don't even read the comments on my videos. It's like, but I like to be connected with my followers though, right? How can you have that connection and understand what it is that they want you to kind of cover and what they're interested in if you have zero connection with them, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you do have to connect, but at the same time, I think there's certain repeat, maybe negative commenters, spammers sometimes that, it's like, all right, we already covered this. You're kind of beating a dead horse here. Like, I get it. I hear your view. You have your view. I have my view. Whatever. It is what it is. No one's making you come to this channel. Like, I think I said this to you, that when I first started doing videos, I couldn't understand the people that downvote a video, because never in my life have I ever gone to a YouTube video, watched it, and went, nope, downvote. I just turned it off. It's like I'll just watch however long of it, and I go, yeah, it's not for me, and I leave and I go watch something else, right? But I don't actually go downvote and then leave a comment. Boy, that sucked. Thanks for the video.
Thanks for ruining my day.
Yeah. God, get it together. Stop posting.
I had one guy, I think it was yesterday. He said I put out a poll just asking people's votes on, top IoT project kind of thing, right? And I gave multiple choices, VET, all that kind of stuff, right?
All right.
And one guy makes a comment and he says, Jasmy's a terrible investment. So, as usual, I said, okay, well, I mean, interesting perspective. Can you walk me through why you feel that way, right? What is it exactly that makes you feel that way? And you never get a logical answer out of that question, right? It's always based on pure nonsense, right?
Yeah, usually. Yeah, for the most part. I mean, are there issues with Jasmy? Sure. Are there issues with every cryptocurrency? Yes, all of them. There is no perfect coin out there that's like, this is it. No, that's not how it works, So
I know about it.
Exactly. They all have their flaws. And, like I've told you, I mean, if you really wanted to knock Jasmy, you could say, what's your TVL? Well, technically it's 0. Okay, that's a pretty big problem, right? That's probably problem number 1, which is half the reason they need the Jasmy chain. So you get the Jasmy chain, you start locking up coins. Now you have a TVL, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking about this the other day, that the coins that run have the bigger the TVL, the usually the higher up it goes, right? So they need to do that. Could they improve communication and marketing? Yes, they absolutely could. Could they be friendlier towards the blockchain world and not so stuck in 1990s Sony? Yes, I think they could, right? We could take this thing a little bit further. You can see that there's a little bit of a management disconnect between the old guard and the new guard, right? But the old guard is where all the really impressive stuff has come out of thus far. I'm still waiting for the new guard to deliver, right?
Well, that's actually one of the main reasons I ended up covering. Well, my coverage of Jasmine started ramping up at that point so much more, was because I started getting all kinds of people messaging me and stuff like, "Hey, man, so and so on YouTube said this, and can you see if this is true?" kind of thing and stuff like that. And like you were saying earlier, a lot of I'm the same. Like we're very similar in that when we hear something, it's like, okay, well, is that true? And like, let me have a look, right? And then you look into it, and it's like, well, this is just pulled out of the ether. It doesn't. There's nothing to back this up, right?
Yeah.
So that's what got me into that. And one of the big things was the whole. There was a guy talking about how Jasmine doesn't need a layer 2, and and some of these people can be very, very convincing in their conviction and what they're saying on their channels. But you could tell that there was absolutely no depth. It was a very shallow position to say, just sit there repeating. Like there's no need for them to have a layer 2. They're only doing the L2 so that they can scam people and get rid of the layer 1 or the V1 coins and make V2 coins so that they can steal your money and stuff like that. And none of this is based on anything in reality, right? Like,
the whole thing about them stealing your coins is this isn't the group that's going to do that. This isn't the country that is on board with that. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't line up with the way the Japanese do things. Now, could they like fumble away some of your coins because they just erred on something? Sure, and you could argue that that's part of the problem in the current chart, right? That too many coins were released too soon, and that's what's tanked the chart, right? And that's one of the reasons they're in the innovation zone. Is if you zoom out on the chart, doesn't look very good, right? It looks like this thing's dead. But is it? No, it's not. It's not dead at all. It's just that, was there maybe, did they not do this the best way possible? Yeah, you could probably say that, so I would knock them on that. What's one of my pet peeves that has been kind of getting to me recently is, I follow all kinds of accounts on Twitter, and I get a lot of Jasmine comments, content, not comment, Jasmine content. Yeah. And in that, I've noticed that this bugs me. Okay, so when there is a void in the 24-hour news cycle, people look for something to say, right? They look for news. And I have seen a lot of posts that are really reaching for conclusions, right? I mean, they really are. And it's like, I get it. You want to have something to say and you need content and you got to post something. I get it. But this is one of the things that bugs me. Whereas like in a Star, for example, Soda is posting all day long. The Star management account posts once or twice a day. And with Jasmine, it's just kind of quiet. And in the void has to be filled with something, right? And, today, more so than ever, I mean, especially like all these AI images and these AI kind of related posts. And it's like you're really stretching for answers here sometimes, and I can see the posts when they're doing that the people are kind of reaching. And some of that really kind of bugs me because I don't necessarily think that's their intention, but you're also kind of taking things too far sometimes. Like there was to give you an example, Jasmine US on Twitter is one of my good friends, and he's a follower of Jasmine just like the rest of us, right? He got a great Twitter handle, and the reason he did it was to try and explain this stuff to the US from Japan, right? But there was like a publication at one point in time, a website somewhere that took a quote that he said as like official. Like, oh yeah, listen to this. Here's from the official Jasmy US account. They said the following, and the implications of that are XYZ. And they wrote a whole article on it and like blasted it out, and the whole thing blew up. And it's like, okay, so he's not part of the actual team. Like, he's just a guy like me who has a better Twitter name. And he posted a comment somewhere that you took it and you ran with it and you turned it into this whole thing that it's not,
Yeah.
And I've been seeing a lot more of that lately.
Yeah. And I agree with you. I get it. I mean, sometimes it is tough to come up with the content. Like sometimes I struggle with a lot of people on a daily basis. Like you said, that void has to be filled with something. So sometimes I got to just do like a kind of like a heart-to-heart video with the Jasmy community and just say like I did this morning, like, look guys, when it came to the expectations and stuff like that, like, we're not doing a video on something Hara said or something from the company today. We're just going to talk and we're just going to be real about what your expectations are, because I feel like if I don't try to contribute to filling that void with something that's not a half truth or a whole lie, there's other content creators out there that do, right? They take advantage of that silence and say, like you just said, they'll fill it with whatever they can think of.
Yeah. Yeah. When you see that video that says Jasmy 3000X and the guy's like, and it's got 100,000 views, it's like, yeah, and I know exactly how that video went. Ironically, you might find this funny. When I first started doing the channel and was doing crypto videos, I was watching various crypto channels all over the place, whatnot, and I quickly kind of got burned out on most of them. And so, believe it or not, when I'm on YouTube, I watch videos of like bands doing 80s cover songs. I watch this guy who camps in the wilderness in Alaska, and I find that really interesting. I watch like the Y-Files and some of these oddball UFO type things. And I really very, very rarely ever watch any crypto type videos anymore. And I think I just got burned out on stuff like Altcoin Daily. And it's like I after a while I was like, you're just regurgitating the news to me. Like, I can read it myself. Now, not to say that there isn't plenty of good people out there, because I think there are, right? Like, I think you've been doing a great job. I think Max is doing a great job. There's a lot of people that come about that really do add something, and that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But personally, I kind of I just sort of got burned out on it after a while. And now I just sort of like, if I'm on YouTube, it's like mindless stuff that I watch so I can just sort of decompress,
Well, I feel the same way. Like a lot of the bigger name content, I'm the same way. Like when I first got into crypto, I would listen to that kind of stuff because you didn't know how to do the research in terms of the news and stuff like that on your own, right? But now it's like same thing, like stuff like I see like Altcoin Daily on when Bonk came out, for example, right?
Yeah.
They were shilling Bonk because it was popular, shilling it, right?
Well, the flip side of that though is, are they being paid to shill it? Well, and that was kind of one of the very shady things that was happening with a lot of influencers. And BitBoy is far from the only one. BitBoy, George, what's her name? Crypto. Wendy-O, yep, Wendy. All of the biggest ones, Ivan on Tech or whatever. All those people, every one of them was being paid, and they were being paid big money. And it's not just them; it's also on Twitter. Like on Twitter, like Altcoin Psycho and some of the Altcoin Gordon and all those bullshit accounts that are named after like your 1980s Wall Street superhero. All of them are taking huge amounts of cash to promote some complete and utter crap
Yeah.
out to their followers. And the thing is the problem isn't necessarily taking the money. The problem is taking the money and not telling anyone you took the money. And by the way, this is a sponsored video, right?
Yeah.
Our sponsor is so-and-so, and so we're going to be talking about this today. I'm letting you all know what it is, right? Like if they did it that way, honestly, I wouldn't have a problem with it, because at the end of the day, you got to get paid, you got to make money. And if you want somebody to do this full time, they got to get paid enough to be able to do it. But the problem is especially like BitBoy, he shit on his audience numerous times, over and over and over. And you know, people just kind of, you know, some people just sort of found him entertaining, right? I mean, he was entertaining. I did not deny that. Like he's driving in his Charger, running the red light, you know, he's pounding his energy drink, and it's like you don't know where this thing's gonna go, right? So it was entertaining, but my point though in all that is there was a lot of shilling, and there very well still could be. There's a lot of sleight of hand in crypto, and a lot of naiveness, and it's an amateur market, and there's not a lot of rules. So you do get big money influencing a lot of stuff.
Well, what I would say to that is, yeah, I totally agree with you. Like they were getting, and you know, if you've seen the charts, I've seen some of them, and it's like we're talking like 30, 40, 50K to shill a project, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Like for me, it's not enough to say, this is a sponsored video. This is they're paying me to make this video. When you follow it up with, but I really believe in this project. If you believe in this project, how much of your money have you put into it? Right.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, right? That's what it would come down to for me. I don't care. Like, sure, you're saying you believe in it because let's say they pay you in their project, right? In their coins. So of course you want it to succeed because you're making money, but how much of your money did you put in? Because if the answer is zero, well, then you don't really have conviction in this project, right?
Yeah, there's a line that's something about, you know, it takes like a lifetime to build a reputation and a day to tear it down, right? And that's absolutely true when you put yourself out there in a public way like this, right? And I've seen other channels say before, you know, like they wish they would have been more selective with products that they endorsed, right? That they would only endorse something if they actually did use it. You know, like ironically, there's this coffee company that I love their coffee. It's like K-Cups, but it's not in the plastic cup, and it's really good. And I drink it every single day, right? And I remember I actually reached out to them at one point. I'm like, hey, if you ever want to be a sponsor, I'd be happy to market your coffee. And they never responded. You know, so oh well, we'll move on from that one. But I still drink the coffee every day.
Well, I get emails every day. There was this one project that was coming at me heavy about a month and a half ago. It was like some Harry Potter game project, whatever, right? And they were just like every day 2 or 3 emails, right?
Yeah.
I'll always usually I'll respond to them if I'm feeling bored, and I'll say, yeah, okay, you know what, you want to talk to me? Let's do a Zoom call right now so I can see you face to face and let me ask some questions, right? Oh, no. We can click this link here and check out our contract offer. Yeah, I'm not clicking any link. Thanks. You know?
Yeah. Thank you, but no thanks.
Yeah, but what we were saying about influencers there too is that one that I do like that I watch is Tony from Thinking Crypto, and it's mostly because he mostly just does interviews, especially with politicians and stuff like that, right? Okay. And that's what interests me. So I do enjoy that. That being said, outside of that, like he did, I saw one in my newsfeed this morning actually from Tony, and he had Wendy O as his guest today. And I was like, oh, I'll pass. I'm not going to bother watching that. I hate targeting people, but she is like the worst for, I have found, because I know a lot about the XRP situation as well. I've followed it for years, the case, all the details, right? I know a lot about it, just like Jasmine. And she will read a headline of an article, not read the article, and then do a video. And you're like, if you're one of the people who read the article, you're like, you didn't read this article.
Right. But she has
And
a lot of subscribers, you know?
yeah, but that's and then she shills, right? Like these projects, and I watched her for a little while at first, but I caught on very, very quickly to what she was doing.
Yeah.
Right? Very quickly. And
So there was a girl, I don't know if you know her, Leia Halpern, I think is her name. Do you know her?
no.
Okay, so she's this, you know, attractive 20, 30 something from the UK, right? And she started doing videos for, I think it was maybe Exodus Wallet. It was a wallet. And they found her, and she must have been a model, you know, and they were like, "Hey, do the videos on this." So she started doing all the videos, got really into it, right? So she eventually leaves them and kind of has her own platform on Twitter, and you know, and has obviously a ton of followers. You know, she's attractive, you name it. And she wrote a book, like it's I think it's titled something like Undressing Bitcoin, you know. And it's like she's playing on the whole like sex angle here with, you know, throwing crypto into it. And you know, and obviously, you know, the crypto space is, I mean, was it like 90% men probably? I mean, if we had to guess, you know.
That's my subscriber count. Yeah, but 93%.
But anyway, my point that I'm getting at is that, you know, she's in photos with even like Michael Saylor. Like, hey, there's Michael Saylor, and there she is, you know, and here she is hanging out with BitBoy, and then she's wherever.
Is Asian?
No, she's from
Okay.
the UK though, and anyway, my point is, I remember at one point she had posted on Twitter like, "Oh God, this is what it looks like when you're homeless," and it was like all of her shit was thrown out in the street from like some apartment that she was living in like Israel or somewhere. And you know, you it kind of like gives you pause because you look at it and you go, okay, like you're talking to all these other people as if you've got your life together, and you literally have a suitcase worth of crap that's thrown out in the street. And it was like a help me post, like anybody who's around, I need somewhere to stay, you know. And I saw that and I was like, God, like first of all, I would have never posted that. But you know, it's like it really kind of takes you back and it makes you realize, like, all right, so maybe this expert isn't the expert I thought they were, right? Funny story, there was a lady who worked at our company. This is years ago, right? And she was like a director level. So this is like 3 or 4 levels above like an entry level employee, right? And I remember, so we all parked in the same parking garage, and I drive in one day and there's this car in front of me that cannot park their damn car, right? In and out, forward, backward, in and out, not quite forward enough, still over the line, you know, whatever. She finally parks the car after, you know, like 4 or 5 tries. And it's that lady, you know, and I'm looking at her, you know, she smokes, she's like, you know, multiple hundreds of pounds overweight. And it's like, I can't take you seriously as a director if you can't even manage yourself, right? And I kind of feel that same way about some of these influencers. It's like, I cannot take you seriously if you cannot manage yourself. And, you know, that's what I was saying with like BitBoy, that, I mean, I think a lot of people watch him for the entertainment value. And when he got arrested on live stream, that was hilarious. But, you know, it's like, I've seen his mugshots. I can't take that guy seriously, you know?
100%. I want to get to a couple more questions here, but there's a comment that popped up I wanted to read because it's so asinine that you had to hear it, buddy. This person commented on my video this morning, the one I told you about where I was talking about expectations, managing expectations, right?
Yeah.
Comment says, please stop saying the word expectations. Look up expectations lead to resentment. I'm assuming that's some sort of book or something. And then to me that He says, "You're killing the project. Needs, wants, hopes, not expectations. Look it up." So apparently, because I used the word expectations, I'm killing Jasmine. Take that, Jasmine.
Yeah. Taken down by expectations from Canada. You know, take that, Japan.
Fatality.
Exactly. Yeah. Finish him.
Like, you truly have to wonder with some of these people, like, what world are you living in? So, a couple more questions here. So Gomer says, Satoshi Nakamoto is a Japanese guy who made Bitcoin. Why Jasmine is very cheap right now and purely a Japanese Bitcoin? Any idea? Thanks for your reply. I'm not sure I understand what you're asking. Did you kind of decipher anything out of that?
Well, Satoshi Nakamoto is a theoretical Japanese name for a theoretical person or persons. No one knows who Satoshi is, and no one knows if that person's Japanese. There are some ties, like in the Jasmine world, that I want to say Jasmine was founded like Satoshi's birthday, or there's a connection there. I know I've seen it posted before. And there's some people like to say that Jasmine is Japan's Bitcoin because it was one of these first ones listed or something like that. But there's no concrete link to Japan at all.
Other than the fact that they're legally regulated there, right?
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of like Satoshi, the name,
Yeah.
and Bitcoin in Japan, there's no link.
Beebs asks, "Are you expecting some information about the lockup?" Oh, Beebs used the word expecting. He just killed Jasmine. Like that.
That's expectations.
Now it's a gang beating, apparently.
Regarding lockup, do I think Hara will cover that in this AMA? I doubt it. Personally, I don't think so. I don't think he would cover that. He may say something like, "We're still working towards this or that, fourth quarter Japan, whatever." But I don't. I doubt he would specifically say anything about it.
Yeah, it's just gonna spill the beans right then and there. We're locking up 49 billion.
Yeah, here we go. Locked, right?
Beeb says no capital gains and taxes in Costa Rica.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's where I'm moving, I guess.
Hey, I have been to Costa Rica, and it is a fabulous country with really good food, a lot of really good people, and a lot of fun things to do. It's a very cool place.
Asian Marine says I just bought more Jasmine. Kusama Gaming said, "Hey man, could you do TA on Simba and on SUI?" Kusama, I don't really do much TA on when I'm doing collaboration live streams and stuff like that. I can look into it in a separate video or something maybe, but right now, brother, can't do it for you, brother. Sorry, man. Later, though, I'll look into it later for you.
Yeah, I was going to say, I probably only have another 5 or 10 minutes because it's getting near dinner time here and it's pizza night, so I'm going to have to roll off soon.
Nice pizza night.
Yeah.
So you're saying people should expect you to be leaving?
There you go again. More expectations coming out of Canada, ruining it for everybody.
Spreading that. Gonna watch the Jasmine charts. Gonna start going red here.
Exactly.
Oh man, so funny. Awesome. Well, yeah. So I'll let you. I'll let you go early then, my friend. So Sunday again, if you're free in the meantime, you just happen to when you message me there, I just happened to be waking up from a nap because I work on Fridays and Saturday nights, so about 5 o'clock in the morning. So it's I got a nap in the day.
Okay. Yeah, that's a late night.
Yeah. So yeah, same thing, man. Fire me a message anytime you got some time. We'll come on. We'll shoot the shit, and we'll have a chat. KK says you can't stop streaming to the price of jazz until the price of Jasmine comes down. Well, is that your expectation?
Stop saying that word, right?
Oh man, yeah. So yeah, just fire me a message. But Sunday, yeah, Max is all geared up and ready to go. He said so.
All right.
I think we settled sometime around like 3 o'clock Central. Is that doable for you? Maybe 2.
Yeah, 3 Central would be what, 4 my time because I'm Eastern. So yeah, we could probably try something like that. I don't think I have any plans, but either way, I'll try to accommodate it.
Okay, yeah, I'll fire you guys both a message an hour or so beforehand so that we're all on the same page, and we'll get her done.
All righty. Well,
all right, brother. Thanks for the chat.
Absolutely. I'll tag team you out, and you can keep on talking about expectations while I drop off.
All right, brother. I'll see you later.
See you, man.
All right, guys. I'm gonna head her too. I got some things to do. It's like 6 o'clock here. So hope you guys appreciated the last minute kind of impromptu live stream. And yeah, I will have the charts flowing again tonight, guys. I'll have the Jasmine chart streaming again this evening. So tune in for that. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for coming, guys. Peace.